Let me tell you something they never admit out loud. In a world where everyone's performing, the ones who stay silent are the ones who truly see. I used to be one of them. The posters, the performers. Every smile had a caption. Every feeling had a filter. I lived to be visible. Until one day I realized visibility was just another form of blindness. You start mistaking attention for connection, applause for worth. And when that illusion cracks, silence begins to sound like freedom. Most people think those who don't post are shy or hiding something. But that's not it. They're hiding nothing. They're protecting everything. Their thoughts, their moods, their memories, kept away from a world that wants to turn everything sacred into spectacle. Because here's the truth. The internet doesn't want you to live. It wants you to perform living. Every like, every view, every share. It trains your brain to believe that reality only matters once it's witnessed, and some of us eventually snap out of the trance. We stop uploading, not because we have nothing to say, but because we've finally started to listen to the noise in our heads, to the quiet in our rooms, to the part of us that's been begging for privacy in a world addicted to exposure. People call it withdrawal. I call it recovery. When you stop posting, you start noticing how much of your life used to be edited before it was lived. You start feeling the impulse. This would make a great post, and realize how deeply that impulse has rewired you. You used to look at a sunset and just feel awe. Now you frame it, adjust brightness, add hashtags, and when you finally stop doing that, the sunset looks new again. You start seeing what's in front of you, not how it would look online. That's the first stage of disappearing. You begin to reclaim your vision. There's a reason psychologists find that people who post less often show higher self-restraint and emotional independence. They're not seeking constant reflection from the crowd. They've built a mirror of their own. When you post, you hand your sense of self to an algorithm that grades it. When you stop, you take it back. No likes, no validation, no dopamine spike. Just you, raw, unfiltered, terrifyingly real. And that's when the detox begins. At first, silence feels like starvation. You reach for your phone the way an addict reaches for their fix. You wonder if anyone remembers you, if anyone cares. You feel invisible. But then something subtle changes. The craving fades, replaced by a strange calm. You stop performing your emotions and start actually feeling them. You stop asking, "How will this look?" and start asking, "How does this feel?" That shift, tiny, almost invisible, is where the psychology of the non-poster is born. They aren't running from the world. They're running toward themselves. Because once you realize how easily reality can be manipulated, you begin to crave what can't be faked. Silence, depth, imperfection, truth. Most of us forget that privacy is power, not because it hides you, but because it frees you. Every post, every update, every glimpse into your life gives people a small piece of control. Opinions, judgments, comparisons, they all seep in. And the more you share, the more you let the world rewrite you. Those who don't post, they've learned that lesson the hard way. They know that once a moment is public, it stops belonging to them. It becomes shared property, open to distortion, mockery, and meaning. They'd rather feel it fully than display it beautifully. But make no mistake, silence isn't always peace. Sometimes it's exhaustion. Because social media doesn't just demand visibility, it punishes absence. The moment you stop posting, people assume something's wrong. They ask if you're okay, if you're depressed, if you disappeared. We've built a world where being quiet feels suspicious. That pressure to be seen, to prove you exist, is what psychologists call self-presentational anxiety. It's the weight of invisible eyes. Even when no one's watching, your brain acts like it is. Every thought rehearsed, every opinion softened, every photo adjusted, just in case. And for some, that pressure becomes unbearable. So they log out. Not out of arrogance, but out of self-preservation. Because sometimes protecting your peace means sacrificing your presence. Ironically, the people who seem the quietest online are often the loudest in their own minds. They're not empty, they're overflowing. They just refuse to audition anymore. You'll find them living offline, collecting the kinds of experiences that don't fit into captions. They're the ones who laugh without thinking of cameras, who travel without tagging locations, who love without posting proof. They've discovered that when you stop performing, you start experiencing life slows down. Colors sharpen. Time stops collapsing into content. And soon, a strange clarity appears. The kind you can't find in comment sections. You start noticing who checks in without updates, who remembers without reminders. Those are your people. The real ones. Connection without audience presence, without proof. That's the paradox of silence. It disconnects you from the crowd, but reconnects you to what's real. Because here's the thing nobody says. When you stop feeding the algorithm, you start feeding your soul. Your mind recalibrates. Dopamine levels settle. You realize how addicted you were to validation disguised as love. And breaking that addiction feels like waking from a long, sweet nightmare. The quiet becomes addictive in a different way. Soothing, grounding, unfiltered. But there's another layer to this. Some people don't post because they've finally understood the cost of visibility. Every image online becomes a version of you. Curated, frozen, incomplete. And when you live through too many versions, you start forgetting the original. So they choose to stay invisible, not because they're lost, but because they're done being divided. They've realized something most people don't. To be unseen is not to disappear. It's to exist without distortion. And maybe that's what true confidence looks like. Not the loud declaration of self, but the quiet certainty that you don't need to prove it. Because the world will always tell you, if you didn't post it, did it even happen? But the people who've escaped that loop know the answer. Yes, it happened. And it was realer. Because nobody was watching. Every unshared moment, every private victory, every quiet heartbreak. They're building a self that doesn't need witnesses to exist. That's not loneliness. That's intimacy with yourself. When you stop broadcasting every thought, you finally hear your own again. You reconnect with the parts of you that got lost in the noise, the quiet desires, the unspoken fears, the small wonders that never needed an audience. That's what healing sounds like now. Silence. It's not rebellion against technology, it's rebellion against manipulation. It's saying, I don't need to be seen to be real. And in a world obsessed with proof, that's the ultimate act of freedom. Because some truths are too fragile for the crowd. Some moments are too sacred for an audience. And the people who don't post, they've simply learned to protect what matters most. So, the next time you notice someone who never shares their life online, don't mistake their silence for emptiness. They're not invisible, they're intact. While the rest of the world is performing existence, they're quietly living it. And in that stillness lies the deepest form of power. The kind that doesn't need to be seen to be felt.